So, attempt 1. So this is map 13, and this is a map that I don't want to say I feel bad about, but this map looks so much better than it has any right to. So these floor textures, the one with the fancy windows, these are actually from Touhou itself. They're from Touhou 11, so huge shout out to Zune for the texture work on this. This stage is from the music is based off of Touhou 11 stage 4, and if you know how these fairies work, you'll understand why I'm trying to make sure they don't fire. Use magic missile to shut down these fairies quickly, because you can shut them down in groups. You use illusion laser once they get far enough away. And okay, I'm getting ridiculously lucky. The fact that none of them have shot is just ridiculous. Because yeah, this gets very ugly quickly. Okay. These guys, I probably can't... And yeah, that's what these guys do. I call them the fan fairies. They shoot these amulets that split into a lot of other amulets, interspersed with the smaller fairies that aim at you. This is just a cleanup with magic missile, because there's lots of fairies, but magic missile just takes care of all of them. And you might notice that this is incredibly... I have a very strict route for this, and that's because you have to. If you're walking into this blind, this stage is basically a wall. It's hard. It is, even though episode 2 I'd say on the record just has harder patterns, this is still a difficulty jump, much like the first episode's equivalent stage 4, which would be map 5. Map 13's unlucky, but I've been having a good stage 5. Like not stage 5, stage 4. All right. I'm going to actually switch to Persuasion Needle because, okay. And yeah, that's what one looks like, because you just want to focus each one of these down quickly. These fairies have a high pain chance, so if you're shooting a single one down, you can prevent them from shooting at you pretty reliably. Important thing to note here. Because now you have this fight, where I spawn 8 of the fan fairies at once. You can tell. Yeah, that's a lot of amulets. Got him. Whew. That is the best stage. This is the best map 13 run I've ever had. It's never that good. Designing this map was... Oh yeah, this fairy does not have a low pay chance, because it's a death fairy. It's just a single fairy that shoots all of this. Flawlessly dodged, though. And this stage basically is held by its use of the kind of color background. You can see there's this fade, which fades to blue. That was a few different colors, and that actually adds a lot to the atmosphere for some reason. The windows, which are taken from Touhou 11 itself, also help. And like, despite the fact this map is like aesthetically, if you're being architecturally blunt about it, it's literally just a single box, but it works. And that's one of the handy things you find out. I found one of the tricks I used to get better at Doom mapping was learning how to compensate for my weaknesses. How to do things where... How to create maps that were better than what I could make via avoiding the things I was bad at. So with that in mind, we now have... Okay, I'm going to actually bring up the writing. So you... Oh yeah, by the way, the yokai who's helping you mentions that you're going to hell, but this doesn't look like hell. This yokai, Satori, is a mind reader. She's telling you that she basically informs you that you've gone the wrong way. You have the wrong hell. Yeah, I love this line. It's such a good joke, because it turns... Yeah, all that's left is the old hell of blazing fires. Yeah, it turns out that basically hell got relocated a while back. There's an old hell and there's a new hell. And long story short, she informs you that you are actually going to old hell, not new hell. Satori figures out that the yokai helping you has the right hell. You didn't know. And if you're actually a fan of Touhou, you actually can guess this plot, because actually the old hell thing is actually Touhou lore. It's such a stupid joke, but I love it because it's actually kind of a hilarious joke because it works if you don't know Touhou, because the you have the wrong hell is such a joke. But if you do know Touhou, you understand that it's 100% canonically accurate, which is kind of stupid, and it's hilarious, and I love that that works. So this is Satori. You might remember when I did Patchouli, I said I was never doing a spell card switch gimmick again. That is correct. How Satori has a different gimmick to her spell cards. And that gimmick will make itself known, well, basically as soon as Phase 2 starts. Okay, that's some pretty close micro-dodging, but it's not hard if you know what you're doing. So, this spell card looks familiar. Satori's gimmick is that in the second half of the fight, her spell cards are all taken from previous bosses you fought before. That's Rainbow Windchime. Zaburudo is back. You didn't ask for it, but it's back. I'm going to use Hakare Amulet because all the amulets can still hit it once she freezes time. Yeah, like that, so I don't miss any shots in the transfer. Finally, this. So some damage is kind of inevitable, but if you can try to make it so you only are taking like one or two shots per wave, that's optimal. Don't get walled. What? And Satori drops 2 new spell cards, so pick those up before the map ends. The 2 spell cards are from Sakuya and Remilia. Don't ask me how that works lore-wise, I just wanted to give you those. And yeah, Satori's gimmick is arguably a lot easier than Patchouli's, and I chose it because it was a lot easier to implement. Heck, I didn't even need to worry about the fire patterns because I'd already designed them. Now, there was actually the selection process on how I chose those 3 cards is kind of funny. I originally wanted to pick something from Patchouli, but there's a bit of a problem here. The whole thing about Satori is lore-wise, she's reading your memories, and Patchouli has a different set of spell cards each time you fight her, which means I can't guarantee that any one of Patchouli's spell cards is one you've actually fought before. Which meant that crossed out using any of Patchouli's gimmicks. So I went with Rainbow Windchime because that one is cheesable in Mei Ling's fight. I didn't show the cheese method because I just like dodging it legitimately. But in that fight, in Satori's recollection of it, it has the ability to aim upwards, which the original doesn't. Then there's The World. I brought that one back because it's everyone's favorite time stop card. You might think, no, it's not, and, well, yeah, it isn't. But that's why I brought it back. And then there's Vampire Illusion, which I brought back because it's the easier version of Scarlet Gensokyo, and throwing Remilia's last card was just... It's too much for a Stage 4 boss to do that. Satori is arguably not that hard. One could argue she's easier than Patchouli, and I'm not terribly inclined to disagree, which is why, unlike Patchouli, you don't get a Megasphere. You get a Berserk and a Mega Armor, but that means that you are effectively entering this fight with 200 health if you had less than that going in. Meaning that... And I got a ridiculously good MAP13 where my route worked perfectly because I remembered how to do it. But it would be very easy. If I'd forgotten, I would have entered that with like 100 health. And at 100 health, Satori is pretty intense. You have few mistakes to make. And yeah, that's the end of Stage 4, which is MAP13. Oh no. Oh no. The next map is a bit of a doozy. I will explain that next video.